Hello, thank you for joining us this week on the Game Hump, Wednesday night Game Hump. We're the Game Huggers. And this week we have Fuzzy Cuddlenuts. Hi, Fuzzy.
Hi,
And
Josh. It's great to be here.
oh, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong camera. Hi, Fuzzy Cuddlenuts. And we also have Braxton Tits. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Oh, tip-tacular.
So this week we've got a lot to talk about here on the Game Hump. A lot of exciting things. A lot of exciting topics. And we are actually here with Ryan, who's returning once again to the Game Hump. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
He's still doing titacular, though. And our good friend Tony. Hi, Tony.
And of course, it's still wonderful to be here.
It's still wonderful to be here. So this week is a special week on the Game Hump. We're talking about Steam. We're talking about that downloadable service. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, thank you for joining us on the live stream this evening. If you're checking us out on Podomatic.com or TuneIn, thanks again. Those are our audio-only versions of these. So if you don't want to look at my ugly face, just check out the audio-only downloads. Those are available. You can check us out. Just look up Game Huggers on Podomatic or TuneIn. We're available on both. So yeah, check that out. It's really cool. And if you ever want to have input on our show or add advice or ask questions or anything like that, check me out on Twitter @_Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore, as it is the most important underscore in all of the interwebs. So anyway, without any further ado, here we are, the Game Hump. We've got three of us with a potential fourth to join in a little bit. And that man is one bastard, let me tell you, of a man. His name is Dan, Dragon Master Dan. He's planning on coming in a little bit later, but as long as we get through the podcast as quickly as possible, maybe we'll get done before he gets here. So let's just try for that.
You want to wrap it up in 15 minutes? We can do that.
Yeah, we can do it. 15 minutes. We're just going to go through the rule. We'll skip topics 5 through 9, and we'll just do 1 through 4. We're good to go. Basically, we already did 2 of those topics, so we're good to go. Ready? Okay, here we go. Yeah. So why don't we start with Tony? How about a little bit of an introduction, how your week's been going, and current pickups.
All right. Hi, everybody. Name's Tony. I've been here a couple times, so I'm just going to kind of blitz through this and talk about games I've picked up lately. So last week I mentioned that I haven't played much for Castlevania. I intend to start rectifying that immediately. And then also I picked up
Good game.
a copy of Odinsphere Luftreise. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. That's Scandinavian. Which
No, I believe it's pronounced Odinsphere.
Yes, das Odinsphere.
Das
So-
Odinsphere.
Yeah.
Can we
But-
do this entire podcast in a German accent?
Oh, don't you know it?
Yeah, that would be great, yeah.
Yeah, the PS4 is a very powerful system, yeah.
Is that Scottish German?
And off the
Einstein,
rails we
right?
go. But otherwise, the only other pickup I have that hasn't arrived yet is I did pick up Tokyo Mirage Sessions #FE.
Our
So-
good friend and also fellow game hugger, Meng, is actually getting that game as well, and he plans on doing like a huge stream of that on his Twitch channel on Friday night. We're actually going to have those recordings available for our YouTube channel starting next week, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be
Yeah.
neat.
And I've
That
been
is,
hearing a lot-
and if a lot of good things about that game, but for those that don't quite understand why it's named that, no one else really knows why it's named that either, because for the last year we've been knowing it as a different name. It's a cross between it's Fire Emblem.
Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem.
Yes.
So, I mean, the one that most people don't really know about is Shin Megami Tensei. You may have heard about the Persona series, which is an offshoot of that. Basically, that's a long-running, like, I think PC98 started RPG series. So,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it was called Shin Megami Tensei X Fire Emblem, or vice versa, whatever it was, forever. And it was like, wow, this is an awesome crossover. This will be really fun. And then they're like, well, let's just change the name. Nobody cares. And now it's like, oh, what is the name of it again? I can't even.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and then they say it's #FE. I'm just calling it #FE because it's more fun. But
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
so SMT backwards. Now you know.
Neato. Well, I don't know. The name's still I'm a little picky with the name. I'm not a big fan of it, but maybe it's easier to say than all the other words that we had spoken earlier. Mr. Ryan Buckley, how about you? How are you doing this week?
I'm doing well. Week's going by quick. That's nice.
It is, actually. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So currently playing or recent pickups. Just
This
got
is your
Fallout
pickups.
pickups. Just got Fallout 4, which is I just wanted to pick it up. It went on sale. Didn't have it yet. Having a little fun
What
with
did
that.
you pick it up for?
The PlayStation 4.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And that was a digital download through the PS Store because of their big E3 sale, where like lots of fun games are on sale. I also got Dragon Age Inquisition, which I didn't have, and can't remember the third one. Obviously, it's great. But on for digital downloads, I did just purchase Disciples 2. And for PC, which is a turn-based, it's like the Heroes of Might and Magic series,
Cool.
as well as Heroes of Might and Magic 3. The
Nice.
Disciples games are really cool because they're like Heroes. I mean, gameplay is very similar, but the atmosphere and artwork is extremely dark, and it's like literally the battle of humans with a little assistance from heaven, fighting like the demons, and then both of them are fighting the undead. So it's really cool.
That sounds really neat. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm curious now. You bought Fallout 4 on a digital download for the PS4 instead of going to like a game store and picking up a used copy.
Yeah, it was actually cheaper.
Was it really? Well,
Yep.
then that's good. That's good. I personally think that all digital downloads should be less expensive than a physical
Agreed.
copy. I mean, if it's a new release and the game's $59.99 at a store, it should be $54.99. You know, some sort of incentive to pay less. I mean, to pick it up over buying a physical copy.
I agree.
Definitely.
I don't know. Me, I just last weekend, I had a good weekend for fixing things around the game room. On Friday night, I got a PS3 working that hadn't been working for a long time. It was a busted 60 gig hard drive version of the PS3, which are the ones that a lot of collectors and PS3 fans are it's a very sought after console because it's the one that's backwards compatible with the PS1, PS2, and plays PS3 games. It's the original, extremely fat, like 30-pound beast. It looks like, it's the ridiculously huge one. I put pictures of it up on the Gamehuggers Facebook page, and it was really beat up. The whole thing on the inside was just disgusting, slimy, dirty, dusty. It was the messiest system I'd ever cleaned out. And I pulled everything out. The hard drive was warped and just ruined. And the caddy that comes with the hard drive was also like ruined. Like someone had tried to take it out or something, and they couldn't. They stripped all the screws on it. So I wound up buying a new hard drive. Bought a new caddy for it, which are very inexpensive. If you ever think you need one of those, they're like $2 or $3 on eBay even. So that and. Got everything put back together. There were a whole bunch of stickers and crap and scratches all over the shell on the outside, so I tried to buffer most of those out. It looks okay. It's still kind of beat up looking, but whatever. I don't care. However it looks, as long as it functions. But I wound up pulling it all apart and getting it all back together and tested it out, and it works perfect. I tested it out on PS1, PS2, and PS3 games. Unfortunately, though, I'm such a good reassembler that when I put it back together, I gained 7 screws. Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah, so now I got 7 extra screws. I have no idea what to do. I think 3 of them were from the caddy, though, that I tried to take the strip screws out of it. I couldn't get them out. But regardless, someday I will need to put it back, take it apart, and figure out where those screws are supposed to go. But I checked and double-checked a couple spots, and I couldn't figure it out. So
They were probably
Whatever.
cosmetic screws.
Probably. I hope so.
I would say if the magic smoke's not getting let out, you're good to go.
No, but it's much cleaner though. The fan actually runs. I mean, the system was fried before, but when I saw the PS2 menu or the PS3 menu come up, I was like, "Holy crap! I did something cool!" And got the games running and everything running on it, and it's really slick. It's a really slick system. I was really happy with it. I've never ever gotten into PS3, so I know the PS3 this November will be 10 years old, but I've really literally never played it. I mean, I don't think I've beaten a single game on the PS3. I never spent any time on any games on the PS3. We had the 360 and the Wii. And the Wii, we got the Wii before the 360, so I was a Wii person for that entire time. I was a Wii person. So, the cool thing about the system being older now is that a lot of the great games are really inexpensive, so I'm experiencing them for the first time ever. And I have been a fan of the PSP for a really long time, and have games like Disgaea 2 and 1. So I found for like $5, maybe it was like $8, at the GameStop store, Disgaea 3, which was complete and got a nice big thick instruction manual in it.
Nice.
Looks and plays very pretty. Also Disgaea 4, which I'm really stoked about. That one is another really pretty looking game. I've played through one of the PSP games. I'm not even sure which one it was because I thought it was one of them, and then I couldn't find my save anymore, so I'm like, I'm pissed. But it's been a while. And then yesterday I picked up the South Park game, The Stick of Truth, which I've heard is like available on Steam for free, and it's available as a PS4 and Xbox One download for free as long as you pre-order the other one. However, when I found this at a pawn shop, it was $3.99. So for $4 for a physical copy, and again, it's got the disc and it's in perfect shape. This one, and then today, just walking around the mall with a friend, I picked up a game that I actually had played on the 360 but never owned because it was actually a pretty expensive game, but I found it for a really good deal, and that is Catherine.
Nice.
PS3,
Yes.
which is a crazy M-rated dating slim / Qbert game.
And you drink
I
a
don't know if that's the
lot.
best. And you drink a lot, yes. That and one non-game related thing that I thought was absolutely awesome that I found at the pawn shop. That I found at the pawn shop is the complete series. I don't know if you guys are fans or familiar with this show at all, but it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It came out in the
Mm-hmm.
I think the mid 90s, and it was John Lovitz is the main character. He was is basically a spin-off of The Simpsons before Futurama, and I love the show. It was like really well done, and always wanted to get it, and I couldn't believe it. But for $5 for the whole seasons 1 and 2, so I'm really stoked about that. From the producers of The Simpsons, it's The Critic. So, yes, there's The Critic. My kids are going to be like, oh, why do we have to watch this crap? Because you do. Now watch it. But anyway, those are my recent pickups. And the other thing that I fixed over the weekend was a Wii. I had my buddy Matt came over, and he's kind of really good with hacking Wii's and stuff. He figured out how to, like, install burn games and... Whoa, what just happened?
I think a car drove by somewhere.
No, I know it did, but I can't see my screen anymore. What the hell? You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
And see you.
I'm just staring at... my screen, like, went away.
I think it blipped out on you.
Okay, come on. What is going on? Anyway, so that's my pickups for the week. The Wii stuff, I basically just... I got some games. I figured out how to install games, that WiiWare games and stuff. So I played a little bit of Mega Man 10, because I never played that one. I had Mega Man 9, which was a lot of fun, but I never played Mega Man 10, so it's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, yeah, why don't you talk about... Oh gosh, I'm back. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. So, before we really jump into everything, why don't we talk about Dan? Well,
Hi, everybody. Let's talk about me. Sure, I have an alcohol problem, and maybe, just maybe, I spent a little bit too much money at the old strip club, but hey, We all have problems. What is this, an intervention? No, 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 you can't! You can't! Okay, maybe not.
It's nice to meet half of your face, Dan.
It is, it is. The other half will be revealed soon in another Batman movie. Just you wait. It'll be played by Matt Damon to fit.
As long as it's not a total disappointment.
Oh gosh.
Dan, we were.
Hello.
Oh God. Dan, we were just talking about recent pickups. Are there any games that you want to share, or any kind of pickups that you want to talk about?
Well, I did pick up a game, as it turns out. It was on the floor, and no, not really. It actually came in the mail. I got Mighty Number 9, which apparently is getting ratings that are like a Mighty Number 9 out of 100. Apparently, it's being really ill-received. I have not yet even powered it on. It's there. But this is kind of a warning to people who are really excited about a lot of these like crowd-funded games, because you don't have the same structure that you had in a corporate environment and milestones and quality control that you might. That's not to say that these kickstarted games aren't going to be good. Some of them might be, but Mighty Number 9 is a good example of a game. Everybody thinks, like, how hard could it possibly be to make a knockoff Mega Man? It's even got the guy who made it. They've been waiting years. This is going to be fantastic. Oh, my God, this game is crap. What happened? How could they not have made a good one? Oh, boy. And that's kind of the problem with it, is that you have old carnies from the 1930s actually, like, running, I don't know. But that's just kind of my thought there is, it's something that seems like it would be a sure thing. Like, how hard can it possibly be to make a next-generation Mega Man game? You have all the mechanics, you have all the basic concepts in place, yet they screwed it up. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. But yeah, Mighty Number 9 did come in the mail.
That's cool. You know, I've heard a lot of negative reviews about it, or just some so-so reviews on it, saying it's just an average game. But I also have seen a lot of people picking it up and saying, if you're a fan of Mega Man, you will like this game. Like,
and that's the thing.
It's pretty awesome.
Like, it's the type of game where if you're a hardcore Mega Man fan, you'll probably get enjoyment out of it. But I think a lot of people have been tainted by the whole setup with the entire game, because there was like 4 different Kickstarters for different aspects of the whole project while it was still being developed. The multiple delays, and it's just like, if we had a laundry list of everything that could go wrong in the development of a game, this was it.
Yeah.
Yes, but
so
as far as laundry list, it's actually missing the detergent. Fortunately, Detergent Man will be a DLC downloadable character. When he's mixed with Waterman, it turns Dirty Man clean, and I don't know. Apparently, they don't even have the rock, paper, scissors aspect down, which sucks.
Dirty Man, I could just imagine some like pervert in a basement. Come on over to. I'm gonna show you. I'm Dirty Man.
But on the plus side, you just spoiled the plot details.
By the way, your Dirty Man is very similar to your Batman. Just letting you know, like, well, you know, Joker, I'm Dirty Man. Well, it sounds like you're Batman as well. Yeah. What do you think goes on in the Batcave? You know, or you can even do it. Actually, Adam West is kind of a weirder pervert Batman if you think about it. Well, Robin and I went down there and checked out each other's utility belts. You know, I don't know. It just works that way. But your Batman and your Dirty Man sounded very, very similar.
All right, I got a new Kickstarter idea, guys. We need to get Adam West a riff track thing going. You know what I need?
You need to get an Adam West and William Shatner riff track going, like, well, Bill, what do you think of this movie? I think this movie is kind of boring. The acting is kind of flat. Why don't we watch something else? Well, I think there's a beautiful lady over there. If I had my agent ask for her number, do you think she'd give it to me? I can't imagine why she would. So, I don't know. It would be kind of a fun idea, though. You got something going there. Adam West and William Shatner do riff tracks.
I think Dirty Man is more of a, hey kids, you want to come over to my basement? Whereas Batman is more of a, oh God, yeah, you're coming to my basement. Joker, why don't you come on over here? Where are the drunk? Oh God, I'm all out of breath. I can't even think straight anymore. Dan, where's Adam West when I need him? Oh God.
Well, God. Adam West is wherever you need him, especially at Arby's for a big beef and cheddar. But yeah.
I I am so glad that you have come today, Dan, because this is actually a celebration, a celebratory event. Is that even a word?
I heard we're celebrating Steam, and really, how can you have a nice, comfortable shower without Steam? It's a wonderful thing if you think about it.
Maybe with
Someday we might even have Steam-powered game consoles. Yes, exactly. Steam Man, Water Man, Soap Man, Detergent Man, all of them can get together. They can make a game called, like, Mighty Number 9 meets DD7, and it's a cleaning game.
Ooh, I like
DLC right there.
Mm-hmm. No, but more importantly, even more than that, is this is actually the 40th episode of the Wednesday Night Game Hump since we started it last October.
Yay!
And is that the number of people in total that have watched it? 40?
We're almost to 40, just about. We're at like 37. Yeah, I mean, I watch them like 38 times every episode, so that's cool. That's what I got to edit out Dan on these episodes. So.
You know, I've actually done a good job of that with my camera placement today, so you don't even need to.
So what are some games that you're currently playing on Steam, Ryan?
I'm currently playing Stardew Valley, which is a Harvest Moon type game with 16-bit style graphics. And sorry, I'm distracted by the amazing camera angle. But
Stardew Valley is like
compile it. I'll have a stand for the camera. Just you wait.
Stardew Valley is a lot like your Harvest Moon type games, right?
Yes, actually.
So what is it? What is it? If it's not just a complete, a straight up clone of Harvest Moon, what is it?
Actually, it's kind of a mixture of like Harvest Moon and Rune Factory, and it really a lot of the problems that were inherent with Harvest Moon and Rune Factory, it kind of fixes all of them. It's developed solely by one guy named Concerned Ape, and he
wait
actually.
Wait till he finds out what happened in Cincinnati recently.
Oh jeez.
Oh God! Why do you have to bring that up?
Anyway, so this one guy, it was a funded project, and he actually took everybody's suggestions very seriously and kind of polished the game so it was like everything that was wrong with Harvest Moon games was fixed. I mean, and the combat is pretty good. It's I would say better.
So
than
everything was fixed, so dudes actually play it now?
Whoa.
I like it. I've spent quite a few hours on it, and there's a lot of collectibles and stuff to pick up throughout the year, and you have to just get better. And yeah, the characters aren't flat, and yeah, it's very well done, I think.
Would you say it's the Shenmue of farming simulators?
You could go there.
So in other words, it was violently over budget and caused the collapse of a company's console empire? Awesome!
No, that was the voice acting for Sonic Adventure 2.
There's worse voice acting in games. Before we jump topics real quick, who here has played Castle Shikigami 2?
Oh, it's such a good
played
game.
Castle Shikigami 3, so I'll count for that.
Well, but that's
It's
actually
gotta be
competently acted. Two doesn't even make any sense. Two, you have cut to dialogue that like starts off at the beginning of the game. There's no intro or anything. It's like Crooked Castle, Infinite Tokyo Doom, Anger powers love, and you're like, what? And then you get to like the first boss. It's like, haha, Sylvia said it's destruction, lost capital, something wrestling, and you're like, what? And none of it makes any sense. It's awesome. Castle Shikigami 2, only for the PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2.
A fun game.
It's a great game, but the fact that it's in complete English makes it even more ridiculous. And then they spoke it. They hired the janitor, and they're like, here, come over here, read some lines. And they spoke the English.
It's amazing.
It is.
It is.
It is. Honestly, it makes all the Turbo CD games, terrible voice acting, look professional in comparison. It's like Dragon Slayer, the guy doing the Mike Myers, if it's not Scottish, it's crap impression. Right away that loses its viability as the worst game dub ever. But
top of the morning to you, my lord.
Hello, Elias.
Hello,
Hi,
Elias.
dear Prince Logan, how are ya? Did you pick up your sword? If it's not Scottish, it's crap! And that's what happened.
So, what are you playing on Steam, Dan? Do you play anything on Steam?
I've downloaded Steam in the past, and I bought retail CD games that require Steam to be operating for the game to actually work, thus require you to be online, which is a huge goddamn irritant about Steam. So, right
I didn't
away,
even know you could buy physical copies on Steam.
well, I don't know if you still can, but I bought a copy of like NBA 2K something some years ago.
I would say a lot of games actually nowadays, if you buy the physical edition, you just open up. There's not even a CD. It just says, "Here's a damn Steam key. You've got internet. Just go download the damn thing."
But
Weird.
yeah, this was kind of irritating because it required always on internet for the game to work. So if you had, say, a crappy network connection or something, and
It's true.
you're sitting around playing Milwaukee Bucks versus Detroit Pistons, the next thing you know, the internet connection goes out, and you're like, the Bucks are saved again.
You really couldn't even play it in offline mode?
No, it wouldn't let you do it. If you lost your connection to speed, it would disconnect your game.
It depends on the game. Some Steam games actually now they've done a lot more work with like rounding out the offline mode. But
Yeah.
the early days of Steam, which I remember trying to update Half-Life Anthology on a dial-up connection, which is like number 3 on my list of bad decisions of all time.
You're like right there with this haircut, and then thinking it would go well with these giant earphones. I'm teasing.
No,
I'm teasing.
first one
I'm
was a
teasing.
timeshare. The second one was
Blink's the Time Sweeper. So they're really related to one another if you think about it.
It's not a bad game.
I don't know. You and I have differing opinions about that. It's not a terrible game, but it's certainly not a good game.
I can
Let's
come
put
up
it
with at
that
least 30 games that are worse than Blink's the Time Sweeper.
Well, of course, I can think of 30 games that are worse than Blink's the Time Sweeper, and all of them are on the Hyperscan. Just kidding, the Hyperscan doesn't have 30 games.
What
Link
about
to-
Hello Kitty Island Adventure?
That's a good one.
Well, that game's amazing, first off. I
Thank
mean,
you.
right away, when you say, I want to play a game made by Sanrio, that's the way to go. If there's a game that involves a cat and a heart and the love of millions of Japanese people, that's the way to go, Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
Tony, how about you? What are some recently playing or currently playing on Steam?
So, kind of the big one for me is I've been diving back into Torchlight 2, which I had started for a while and then shelved to play a few other things, but I kind of want to revisit that one, so after looking back and realizing I've made about 17 different characters, decided to make a new one and commit to it this time. So that's kind of been the big one I've been playing. The other one I've also been pecking away at Stardew Valley because I had a very unhealthy addiction to Animal Crossing for a long time, and this
Packing
just
away. I get it. Sorry.
Ah! But the problem is I had a long, dark history with Animal Crossing, and this hits those same points. So it's like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
So, speaking of Torchlight 2, did you know that the sequel isn't going to be called Torchlight 3?
No,
a
they
newer
made Rebel
high-tech
Galaxy
one.
instead.
It's a newer high-tech one. It's going to be called Flashlight.
Oh, God.
Hold out for Spotlight. I think that's going to be a lot brighter.
So I've been playing Hyper Light Drifter on Steam, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Very, 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 very good 16-bit / 32-bit era looking type of action RPG. It got really high ratings in most game magazines as like this top of the line spectacular game. And generally speaking, I'm not like the hugest fan of newer games coming out. And I've said this a few times on the podcast, of new games coming out with a retro style like graphics and art style to kind of mimic like, oh, it's just like a Super Nintendo game. Oh, it's just like a Saturn game, whatever. I'm not huge fans of that type of game just trying to be like the sole reason to get people to buy it. But when there's actually like really, really good gameplay and there's like a unique gameplay style, and they add like newer concepts to it. It's kind of hard for me to just sit there and bitch about it because it's not, or because it's trying to be retro, but it's not retro. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of that. That one and Read Only Memories, I think, are two fantastic games on Steam that are.
Now, let me ask you this about Hyper Life Drifter, because I've kind of missed on that one. I always looked at it and thought it resembled Illusion of Gaia in a way, kind of that almost isometric action RPG. Am I right on that?
Yes, and I mean, yeah, sure. It's similar to that. Its art style is very different though. Like the characters are a little bit more pixelated rather than being kind of like serious like sprites that are more defined like Super Nintendo or Saturn games that kind of like take a step back like almost 8-bit style. But the visuals of the game, the gameplay and the visuals are freaking out.
Okay,
it's really good.
Very beautiful game.
Yeah, I mean it's like you see a game like I just had it up. I got that one and Undertale recently, and I started Undertale. Everyone's been saying how great it is, and I've tried I'm trying it out, and it seems pretty cool. It's got like the visuals of like a Game Boy Color game. It seems like it would be a really fun handheld game to play, and I kind of wish it was on like an Android or on like a PSP or something so I could play it that way. But it's on PC, and the only thing it's on is Steam right now. But when I saw the intro for Hyper Light Drifter, I was like, nope, I got to keep playing this. So I've been focusing on that a lot more up until some of the more recent stuff has come out. But
yeah, and Undertale, I'm just going to warn you, is that one is a bit of an undertaking just because of the way it's designed. So
sure.
When you think you're done, you're not done.
Yeah, and everybody's been talking about it. My kids are big fans of it too. And then actually an older game that was available on PC and Steam that I've recently picked up with a bundle, I think it was like in March or April, was Shadowrun Returns. And that one, if you're a fan of any of the old Shadowrun games or if you're a fan of the original Fallout 1 and 2, it's definitely a game you should check out. Really, really good, great music, awesome graphics, and it plays really, really well. So I'm like very, very happy with that.
Plus, I'll admit I love Shadowrun Returns. I just got done playing it too, but I love that they added campaign creation tools to that.
Yeah.
So, like, you go into Steam Workshop and there's like 20 or 50 different additional campaigns you can run. So it's not just a one and done game for you.
That's pretty awesome. What would you guys consider some Steam sleeper hits? Maybe games that you guys are big fans of, but no one else has really talked about them.
I'm not the biggest person into PC games, but you did mention Read Only Memory, which is on a few other platforms as well. I've not played it on Steam, but I have played it on the Ouya, and it's fantastic. Yes. There's a lot of good indie games that are out there. I think that the big thing with Steam is that it's a all-inclusive platform that allows a whole lot of different types of games you wouldn't see on consoles and you wouldn't see in your average PC gaming store or whatever else as a retail product to be available to a huge mass market. It's just a matter of digging through and finding the good games. By the way, if anyone ever uses the term hidden gems, you deserve to be shot. Unless you're referring to the ones in Sonic the Hedgehog 1 for Sega Master System that are in fact hidden throughout the levels. That's cool.
Also the Game Gear versions, but who's counting?
Hi everybody,
the
I'm Metal Jesus, and we're talking about the top 10 hidden gems on the Atari Jaguar. Here we go.
It's like, first off, Tempest 2000. Second off, Tempest 2000. Third off,
Aliens vs. Predator. Fourth, Rayman. These are all great games, and I've totally never played them. They're so good.
But they're awesome. Don't I look like I haven't showered in weeks?
And finally, Cybermorph, because no one's played that.
Of course not.
I think
the world would be a better place if no one had played it.
Where did you learn how to fly?
Ouch.
Sorry.
Avoid the ground.
I'm so sorry.
Have any of you guys played the game Not a Hero on Steam?
No. No, sir.
No, that's one I've been meaning to check out, and I keep missing chances on it.
I love it. It's absolutely awesome. And what it is it's just a 2D, extremely gory, like 8-bit pixelated speed run, pretty much. And you go through these levels, and the dialogue in between missions is absolutely insane and hilarious because you're trying to get this weird creature thing elected as mega commander of the world. And even though he's going around killing people, his like campaign is all like rainbows, and it's ridiculous. But it's one of those games where you shoot a guy with a little 8-bit gun and he explodes into a bunch of bloody pieces. But it's very slick with the controls because you have to be precise and you can die pretty easy. So.
Another good pickup for Steam, and again, this is a game that's also on quite a few consoles, and it's a console-style game, is Castle Crashers. Who here has played Castle Crashers?
Yes.
Many hours.
Yes, that is a fantastic game, and for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's basically a beat-em-up game mixed with a leveling system, and it's got a very simplified kind of early 2000s flash cartoony style to it, and it originated from, I'd like to say it was like some E-Bombs World type site. I can't remember which one it was. And they had also done Alien Hominid. They had made a bunch of Flash games. And Castle Crashers is an absolutely fantastic beat-em-up style game. You can have lots and lots of fun with it. You bring up over a whole bunch of friends. They'll all love it, and then they'll never want to play it again.
But that's how most local co-op games go. I mean, usually ends with a controller being thrown and somebody needing a new TV.
No, it usually ends with like an empty box of pizza and terrible heartburn.
Apparently you haven't been around me on Friday night.
Oh! Yeah. I have, Tony. One game that I...
Locks again.
There's a game that I like a lot that's... I think it's new-ish to Steam. It's probably was like a year or two ago. I guess it's not very new. But in retrospect, it was actually released over 10 years ago on PC, and it's the next PC exclusive game. But now it's available on Steam, and it's a really great shoot 'em up that a lot of people, back in a time when finding a good shoot 'em up was few and far between, the eras of like the PlayStation 2 or Xbox, original Xbox, and like the GameCube. Like each system had a couple, but were there any really great ones? I don't know. Maybe not. But on Steam, right now they have a really great 2004 shoot 'em up that came out on PC called Jets and Guns Gold. If you guys haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. It's a side view, so that's considered a horizontal. Is that horizontal? Yes.
Yep.
Horizontal shoot 'em up, and it's very steampunky. So it's like all the ships and stuff have like smoke coming out of them. I wouldn't say Metal Slug like Steam, where like the machines are all like moving and they're all, leaking oil and stuff all over the place. But it's a really good shoot 'em up that has sort of like World War feeling to it, where the ships are all older looking, and you're flying around, and when you shoot a ship down, like little guys will come out in parachutes or whatever. There'll be little guys with little Rocketeer jetpacks and stuff trying to shoot at you, and you're just kind of running into them and crushing them all. But the music's amazing. Shoot, I should look up what the name of the band is that did the Rake and Grass. No, that's Rake and Grass is the name of the. Oh, it's I hate this. I can't remember things. But anyway, the music is sort of like reminiscent of Lords of Thunder and Gate of Thunder, where it's like a lot of just metal blasting at you while you're going through this game. And it was done by anyway, check it out. It's a good game on Steam. Machine Supremacy, who have a lot of other, like Machine Supremacy, however you want to pronounce it. They have like other like albums out, and they're like a pretty normal, really good metal band. But like this band, the soundtrack for Jets and Guns Gold, or just Jets and Guns, is awesome. And I wanted to mention that. It's a really good one. Retro City Rampage is another one. If you guys haven't checked it out. It's very much the old school original Grand Theft Autos, like on the PS1 and the Dreamcast. that type of game, but it looks like an NES game. It's really fun. So, fun games. You gotta check them out.
Another older Steam game now that I haven't met many people that have played. Have you guys ever played FTL, Faster Than Light?
Heard of it, but I purposely stay away from that for a litany of reasons.
Really?
Mainly because I can't last more than 10 seconds in a game like that.
I don't know, it's very, I love the roguelike factor of it, where there is permadeath, and it does kind of stink when you get your ship all upgraded, and I mean, there's a large factor of luck in there as to what you pick up, and you'll get your ship the exact way that you want it, and all of a sudden you'll jump to an enemy that you don't have enough life for, and all of it is gone. It's kind of depressing at that time, but that kind of adds to the fun and challenge. I don't know. I've always liked roguelike games, so
yeah.
And
it's
being able
those...
to like pilot or to be the captain of a ship and actually choose like what systems to bolster during a battle and like which systems to attack on the enemy ship and all that strategy. Like each little battle is its own strategic thing. Like you have to plan carefully or else you can lose.
Looks really cool.
And then I've got a couple actually myself too. So I'm going to throw 3 names out there. First one, because no one ever mentions this, the Serious Sam series.
Yeah.
Which now all of the games that are available in that series are on Steam, and the original 2 have been remastered. So if you haven't checked that out, imagine Doom with 1,000 enemies in front of you, and it just doesn't take itself seriously at all.
For some reason, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was Sam and Max. I'm like, oh, I remember that. And then you're like, you're talking about Doom. I'm like, wait a second, I don't think we're talking about the same game. Throw me a bone here. But yeah, I do remember Serious Sam now.
Yeah, that's been one that I feel like never gets enough love. The other one that, you mentioned FTL, Ryan, but Rebel Galaxy, if you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
So basically, that's made from the 2 guys who started Runic Games, who made the Torchlight series. But what they ended up making is kind of a ship game with broadside combat. So it's more like a consoleized version of Elite Dangerous in a way, except they've given it a better campaign. And what's entertaining about it is on PC you can actually plug in a custom soundtrack. So 90% of people who play it just put in the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack and called it good. But otherwise it uses like a rock country feel to it. So it actually ends up just giving off a really entertaining like convoy vibe. And then the other one for me, it's an older PSP game, but we all know I'm a sucker for RPGs and especially making fun of them, but Half Minute Hero.
Yes.
Or
That's a neat...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, that's a neat PSP game. I'm totally familiar with it. I'm a big fan of XC.
And it's on Steam.
It is on Steam, but what I love is the fact that they gave it the name Half Minute Hero Super Mega Neo Climax Ultimate Boy. But I have to give it so much respect for that game because it's like Final Fantasy, but just send up every like 20 seconds.
Yeah, and the intro music to that, I think it's the second one. The music is amazing. It's one of the best like intro soundtracks that I've ever heard.
If you guys are talking about RPGs or action RPGs, you can't forget that there's a whole bunch of Ys games that are available on Steam. And Ryan, I'm talking exclusively to you because you've said you've never played an Ys game. Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles, and Ys Origins, Ys the Oath of Felhana, and Ys 6, the Ark of Nepishtim, are all on Steam. Ys Origins or Ys Book 1 and 2 would be a great spot to start from. And Ys 1 and 2 is only $15.
Sweet.
It's excellent. Like, excellent games.
I exceed. Excellent by Exceed. Now, with regards to another game that's kind of interesting, because I like to play platformers, is there's a couple of terrible ones that are on Steam that are celebrating their 25th anniversary as a franchise, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 and Episode 2, because you couldn't get enough bad collision detection. And what they were is an attempt to make a 2D Sonic game that had some of the mechanics of the newer Sonic Adventure-style games where you have the lock-on and whatnot, yet at the same time have the aggravating poor quality of current Sonic games. And I think with all of those things in mind, they did an excellent job of making a game that looked like it would be fun but wasn't.
Yeah, but I mean, we could say that about almost any Sonic game in the last 15 years.
We can
Almost
and will.
20 years, yeah.
Except for Generations. That's like the only saving grace I allow.
Sonic
Even that,
Colors.
even
Sonic Colors is better.
But another game that's just kind of fun if you like old PC-style adventure games and 80s movies is Back to the Future the game. I'm kind of a fan of those types of games. This also wound up on Wii and things, but it's just like, Doc, we've got to go back to the future. Where Marty? And it's got Michael J. Fox actually doing the voices, among other things. Yeah.
Another really good platformer. This is, and I know now we're like way off, but and this is a very popular game, so everyone's heard of it. Hopefully, it would be Fez. If you guys have ever played Fez, it's
He's my favorite character from the '70s show. No, anyway.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. No, and then actually Tony and I were talking before the podcast started about Phantom Brave. That's a new release.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like PSP and Vita games that have been recently getting ported over to the PCs. So, like Phantom Brave, Disgaea just got a release, and actually both of the Danganronpa games just released on Steam within the last couple of months. So, if you're looking for a very strange anime visual novel that's actually really compelling, I cannot recommend the Danganronpa games hard enough. It's also some of the weirdest crap you'll ever see.
So jumping into like sales now, what are some big sales that you guys have picked up on in recent memory?
I got
Steam has their bundles. They've got all the kinds of sales going on. People are like, "Oh, I'm gonna throw my money."
Yeah.
Computer.
I think my count right now is 188 games on Steam. So I've picked up a few of those bundles, like the Star Wars bundle that has like from Star Wars Dark Forces 2 to Galaxies to The Force Unleashed 1 and 2. That was a really fun one to pick up back in the day. And another one that I picked up was the Warhammer bundle with all of the different Warhammer games, which I'm excited. I need to pick it up. But Warhammer Total War just came out.
Wow.
Which would be I'm very interested to see how it is, because I like the Total War series, and I love the Warhammer universe, so those two together would be really fun.
Nice.
But yeah, I love their bundles because it just, they suck my money, but I think it's worth it, because it gets a lot of old games with it that otherwise I just wouldn't buy outright.
Yeah.
I have a whopping total of 12 games on Steam.
Slow down.
Yeah, I know, right? Since 2014. That's all I've done.
Let's say, and for me, I know this is going to sound terrible, but I got probably about 260.
God, you guys are buying air.
Well, here's the reason.
You don't own anything physical in front of you. You own nothing.
I know, but let's put a pin in that one, because we are coming back to that one. But a lot of it is, too, I've had a Steam account since, I got to think now, for over 10 years. So I've had time, but a lot of it is also the Humble Bundle stuff. Like, for instance, they actually have a Neo Geo bundle out right now, each of that come with their own Steam copies. So, to some extent, like, a lot of the games I pick up are, hey, I want to get this Humble Bundle, I can spend $5 and get, 15, 20 games, why the heck not?
Yeah, I've had a Steam account since it was Water Vapor, but I haven't bought as many games as that. With that said, the Humble Bundle stuff, I have bought a few things that's not just been Steam stuff, but things that are on consoles, and I don't actually actively watch my Steam account. I've got it on the computer behind me, and I'm not going to move the camera again at this point because we've got it in a fair location. But I've got maybe about 20 or 30 games I've picked up either on bundle deals or a handful of things I bought physical copies of, and as you described, here's a Steam code. Fuck you, you don't get a disc. That's what's in this DVD case. And or you actually get the disc, it's just there to install it, and it still has to be connected to Steam. So one other complaint about Steam that we didn't go over is the fact that Steam is on multiple platforms. There's a Linux Steam and a Windows Steam, and for some godforsaken reason, a Mac Steam. But the games that are available on the different Steam platforms are completely different, in part because so many games are still built around that wacky thing called DirectX. So it's one other note. I think we should probably talk about the Steam boxes, the little Steam console PC-in-one things that nobody bought.
Yeah, that's basically built off of Linux, right? That was the Linux.
It's a Linux-based PC that's just a little set-top box that no one bought and did not have great Steam support and had a fucking stupid-looking controller.
Yeah, if you're a fan at all of the Linux version of Steam, which I am, I try to get all my games. If I like to especially get them if they're on Linux, because then I can actually play them on my Linux laptop and not be restricted to my PC here in the library or whatever. But like, if you know that struggle, because you find games, out of every 10 games that come out, 1 or 2 of them are on Linux. Those are the same ones that are only available on those Steam boxes. So it's really like 10% of the games that come out are available on it.
Yep.
Now, what I also like is they also dove into some of the hardware with like the Steam Link, which if you haven't seen it, it's about the size of a PlayStation or a Vita TV, about yay big. But you can hook up into another room and actually stream stuff from your computer to your television set.
Yes,
true.
So I picked one of those up, and then I started playing it with Final Fantasy XIV just to see if it could do a non-Steam game, and it would actually support it.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, the game was Final Fantasy XIV, so...
Yeah, I spent 2.5 years playing that thing. I'm not going to complain about it in the slightest. It lasted longer than I did with Star Wars The Old Republic.
Okay, so what are some new releases that are coming out on Steam, or new releases that you guys are already out on Steam that you guys are looking forward to or have played? Cuphead, yes. That's a big one. That's going to be on the Xbone as well, though. So
it is, and it'll probably be on the Xbone for a little while exclusively because somebody's got to buy those fucking things.
Yeah, someone's got to. I don't know who. But...
I was say I got a couple for you. I don't know if you've heard of this one, but I Am Setsuna is supposed to be coming out, I think, in July or October.
Yeah.
Hi, Setsuna. I am Dan.
But what I like is they're actually going back to that style of game with Chrono Trigger, which even the people who are playing it saying this is getting off the Chrono Trigger vibe. So I'm sitting here hyped for that.
There was this reminds me of something. I'm going to get off topic real quick. There was a Chrono Trigger knockoff on either the Game Boy Advance or the DS, and it was made by Gaijin, and it looked like Chrono Trigger, and it sounded like Chrono Trigger, but it played like shit. What was this thing called? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Chrono Cross?
No. That game looked like shit too, and sounded like
that one was actually decent.
Chrono Cross is garbage.
You're not talking. Is it on the Super Nintendo, Dan?
No, this game was a Game Boy Advance or a DS game, and I think it was called like Black Seagull. Black Sigil, maybe.
I don't know.
I'm looking this up now. Black Sigil for DS, and this was a game that was designed to like immediately bring to mind Chrono Trigger. The art style looks like somebody watched a little bit too much Dragon Ball and ripped it off. The design of the game seems that way, except it's done with absolutely no quality control.
Yeah, but that's at least the good news about Setsuna is this is coming back from Square Enix, and they're even trying to bring that back. So I'm at least willing to give it a shot.
Interesting.
With what caliber bullet?
We'll start with a 22 and then decide how big I want to go from there.
Interesting. Yeah, this Black Sigil, it does look very pretty, and it's definitely
garbage.
It gives you a vibe of Chrono Trigger for sure. Holy crap, it's crazy.
They also released Chrono Trigger on the DS, I think.
They
Yeah,
did. They released the Chrono Trigger on the DS and the PlayStation. Do you like loading times? Have you said, my Neo Geo CD just isn't slow enough? Well, guess what? The PlayStation version of Chrono Trigger is for you. Want to
It
bring up
wasn't
a
that
menu?
bad.
Wait 15 seconds. Want to remove the menu? Wait 15 seconds.
Hey, I've had a Dreamcast. I'm used to abysmal loading times.
Wasn't that Martin Luther King's famous speech? I've had a dream.
I had a Dreamcast. Yeah. So what about okay, for a new release? By the way, I have to mention this that I'm excited about is Valhalla, a cyberpunk bartender action game, or VA11A Hall A. Valhalla is a really cool looking game. It's a bartender in a cyberpunk world, mainly text-based adventure, point and click. If you liked read-only memories and the bar scenes in that game, you should check it out because it's really in depth. You can talk to everyone. You can mingle with people. You can interject your opinions on their drama going on in their lives and either mess them up or help them along. It's really cool. Like I watched a guy do a gameplay of some guy who was obviously he had work in the morning or something like that, and he was way too drunk and he was drinking too much. And as a bartender, you can like cut him off.
Was his name Majors?
Oh my God, I think it was. No, you can like cut him off, and he then comes back the next day and he's like, "Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for telling me to get my shit together and blah blah blah, whatever." Like it's really like a unique concept, and I think it's got some dating sim like a little bit of that in there too. I'm not really too sure. I think even Read Only Memories had some of that in there, but I never even like tried to do anything like that. But another aspect of Valhalla that looks really sweet is you can actually mix the drinks yourselves. You kind of like a person will order something and you have a book of all the drinks, and then you have like all the different ingredients, and you can actually make them wrong and give them to them, and then they're like, "Oh, this is not what I asked for," or they're like, "Wow, this is really good," and it's like this person likes it this particular style with a little less gin or a little more gin or whatever, stuff like that. It's a cool idea, and it's $15, and the soundtrack is also like another $5. So for $20 you can get the game and the soundtrack. And yeah, I know I was the one bitching like 5 minutes ago about buying Air, but in certain aspects of this, when there is no physical copy version out there, you're supporting the developer, you're supporting the musicians that put the music together for the game. So yeah, they can have my $20, and I'll definitely get hours and hours of enjoyment out of it. So it's a cool one to check out, I think.
Yeah,
Brand new, just came out on the 21st.
Just to latch onto it too, I think this game was made by just one or two people out of Venezuela.
Yeah.
So
it's a small team.
So I mean, that's kind of one of the things I've been loving about Steam is without Steam, we probably wouldn't see a Stardew Valley. I mean, some of these services are starting to pick up on the indie scene. Granted, Steam is way buried in garbage, but
yep.
It's kind of to that extent where, if nothing else, even just the small little stuff that what you never see on a console, you can at least check out.
Yeah, and with what you were saying, Josh, with the buying Air thing, as I've said before, I prefer physical copies. But a lot of these games and the older games that ran on older platforms, like Windows 95, that are available on Steam, I like the fact that they're all designed for modern systems, and with the portability aspect, like if I go stay with my parents for Christmas, I can literally install Steam, have it installed on my dad's computer. I don't think he knows, but I can install it on there and download some games that I want to play around with, and all of my saves are already backed up in the cloud. So
are they really?
Yeah.
That's what I was actually going to ask.
I was going to say many Steam games are now supporting that cloud feature. Yeah.
Yep. Which I love.
So you can save your game on one machine and go somewhere else, install it or play it on there, and you can pick up right from where you left off.
Yeah, I'll pull it right down.
I actually have Steam on my desktop, cool. And then I have a little 2-in-1 that plays a lot of Steam games really well, and it's cool because I can just go in the living room with this thing, and while I kick on Netflix or whatever, I pull up Steam, I start playing one of my games, and it's exactly where I left off on my desktop.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Huh. That's awesome.
I say for me, kind of the fun thing is, like, I know the argument is you're buying air, but I can think of one thing why I buy certain games digitally versus physically. Suikoden 2. If I want to go find a copy right now of that, I'm spending $100. I bought it digitally. I mean, this is PSN, but same argument, for about $2.
Yep.
So it's kind of one of those arguments for me that if I'm only spending $2 and saving $98 for other games and stuff I can pick up, why the hell not?
And that's a good point with a lot of very expensive games. I know Suikoden 2, I don't know what it goes for now. I bought it when it was new, but it's really expensive. Not that it's a Steam game, but I remember many, many years ago, I had always wanted to play Super Air Zonk. And I picked it up on the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console for like $6 or $8 or whatever it was, and said, "Oh, this isn't anywhere near as good as the first game is." And I didn't know up to that point, and I was glad I didn't spend that much money. Now, when I eventually did get a physical copy of it, I'm like, it's worth the $50.
Yeah, Suikoden, and that's a whole another conversation for another time. I mean, the whole digital download version of really rare and expensive games. I mean, look at Earthbound on the Wii U, $10 versus hundreds of dollars for the card.
I would say, but even the same time with Steam, especially if you hit it during a sale time, I've purchased like brand new games using like different Steam money and whatever else I've racked up. I picked up Fallout 4 on the day of launch for $35, right off of Steam.
That's pretty sweet.
So I mean, there are sometimes you can make off like a damn bandit in there. Like, hey, this game went from $50, it's now $5, and at that point, it's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah. Does Steam have any competition out there? What are some engines or services that are similar to Steam that maybe failed or
is good old Game still around?
GOG is still around, actually.
Alive and well.
Well, they rebranded to GOG, but they actually just started working on a client called GOG Galaxy that behaves a lot like Steam, but it's designed to work around the same DRM-free concept that GOG has always had, which is we sell you a game, it doesn't have DRM in it. So that internet connection you need, gone. Don't need it. You download the game, you fire it up, and you go.
Then there's always Origin, which is EA's junk version of Steam.
I actually don't have that bad of a beef with Origin. I've been using it for a few things, granted, Battlefield 4, but...
Yeah, all 5 games it offers?
Well, okay. I at least tolerate the fact that at least Origin has rolled all the Mass Effect 2 and 3 DLCs into one place, because before, if you wanted to buy any BioWare game on PC, you'd have to go to BioWare's site, download the installer for that DLC, so you could have 20 or 30 different installers and have to run each one individually.
Yeah, my hatred for Origin actually came from when the first time that I had to get it was because I bought Mass Effect 3 and had to install Origin to play it. I was like, this is crap. I don't want this. That's an awful way to do things.
Well, and speaking of vendor-specific ones, there was Uplay. I don't know if that's still up, which was Ubisoft's.
It's unfortunately still up. Because every time you buy a new game comes out on Ubisoft's Uplay service, for about that first week, it may or may not work. So I tried playing Watch Dogs before I realized what I was doing with my life and, turned it around and started playing great games like Shaq Fu. And like half the online features of that game would not work. So you could sit there and be like halfway in the game, oh, someone's invading your game, and it's gone. All right, cool. I'm gonna go run this guy over the car now.
Another one I remember being around, which I'd like to say it was like partly distributed by Cartoon Network, was something called Game Tap. Anyone remember this?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
How I played Psychonauts.
Yeah, Game Tap was another one. So I mean, I think there's still a few of these that are out there or around. It's just a matter of Steam being the dominant one at this point, and it's specific to Windows and it's specific to DirectX. So yeah, but yeah, with regards to GameTap, the only thing I always remember it being like advertised on Cartoon Network at 2 in the morning when everybody was high, because that's really the audience for that at that point. It's just like, oh, Squidbillies is funny. I'm gonna go play a game.
I think if I remember right with GameTap, like one of the things they tried to bill it for was it was a game streaming service. So you wouldn't download the game, you'd just load up the client and it would just play your game. So it was kind of almost akin to like those game systems you'd have in hotels for a little while, where you dial up, a copy of F-Zero and pay $30 for 5 minutes of gameplay.
The first time I saw the GameTap commercial, I thought it was a Tim and Eric sketch. Then I realized it was too funny.
Do you guys remember the... Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
Do you guys remember the old... I think of them as like Steam precursors, like the Game Spy, or there was one by Westwood Studios that did the Command and Conquer ones. I can't remember the name of it, but there were a bunch of them out there where it was essentially you'd have your physical copy of the game and you'd install it, but then you could access all of them from one of these interfaces. And they kind of died out when Steam rose to power, it seems.
Well, I think GameSpy 2 did a lot of like multiplayer game server stuff as well.
Yep.
So I think that was a problem too. Once most companies started just hosting their own equipment, they had nothing.
That's a good point. Not that I missed them. They were just fun back in the day.
So you had mentioned a little bit earlier about the Steam box. Now that's an exclusive for putting on your, hook up a monitor and you got the Steam box and you're good to go. You don't need a computer. You don't need anything else. It's all built in. It's exclusively for running the Steam games, or at least what games are available on it. Now you could kind of compare systems like the PS TV. Is that what it's called? Or the console version of the Vita?
Well, here's the difference between the console version of the Vita and the Steam TV. Is the console version of the Vita, I can go to a store, buy a physical game, plug the physical game into the PlayStation TV, and it will play. With Steambox, it's all digital distribution. I don't believe there's any sort of an optical drive on it. Sure, you might be able to take a flash drive or an external hard drive and load something on there if you wanted, but it's not quite the same. I think the other thing that's... Go ahead.
Sorry, the PS TV plays Vita games? Like, you can take the actual Vita games out and put them in the...
Yeah,
Shit,
it's actually,
are you serious?
Now, there is a catch to the PlayStation TV, and that is anything that used the rear Vita screen was technically not compatible. Just to throw that thing out the window.
Well, and people have hacked firmware to get around that, and things that were using the touch screen, it's using like the second analog stick or something on certain games to emulate that functionality. So there's people with hacked firmware that have gone around the compatibility list. But yes, it actually plays physical Vita cards.
But in addition, you could also stream stuff through it. So, like, I could fire up a game on my PS4 in one room, bring the PlayStation TV or like the Steam Link into my other room, hook it up to a monitor, and I can just run a game right off it. It's just playing remotely. So basically, it's just beaming the video output.
And beaming is something we're very familiar with here. I think, at least. Go ahead.
The PS TV also comes with a PlayStation 3 controller?
No, only certain versions of it do. There was a bundle that came with a PlayStation 3 controller and a download of Lego. Was it Lego Star Wars or was it Lego?
Yes. There was a Lego game that came with it. So at a local pawn shop.
It was actually the Lego the movie the game or something like that.
That's what it is. Yeah, there's a local pawn shop that has 2 PS TVs right now, and I walked past and I was like, PS TV, this is terrible, and they were $39 each. But they looked like they had everything inside of it. It was a big box with the Lego movie, the game, and then the controller in the box and everything. And I think I'm going to go back tomorrow and pick it up because
hold
I didn't
on
realize
that
you could
thought, because I know a guy who might have one for you.
Well, what do you want? More than $39 for it?
Oh, hell no. Because the only downside with the PlayStation TV was, since it has limited compatibility unless you hack the firmware, you also need to have a memory card for it. So
yes.
on the actual box, you get a gig of
horrible
memory, where a memory stick for a PlayStation Vita can run you $30, $60, or $90.
Yeah, they're terrible.
So it was
The
one of
bundle
those things
came with
where
one? I have it. I know the bundle came with one, but it was a small card. It was like a 8 gig or something.
yeah. So I ended up finally just breaking down and saying F this and bought a Vita just so I could play whatever I wanted. So like I ended up getting one for free with my PlayStation 4, and I use my Vita way more than it.
Oh yeah, you got a Vita with your PlayStation 4? Is that what you said?
No, PlayStation TV.
You got the PlayStation TV. Oh, okay. So then, does that come? Does that come with a PlayStation 3 controller?
You can either use a PlayStation 3 or 4 controller with it.
Okay, that's awesome. And the reason I'm making a stink about that question I keep asking is because PlayStation 3 controllers used are still like $40 to $45, and
I got
basically
one for $199.
Nice. Well, you win. You have a big city with Goodwills that are actually awesome. Ours are not. We have yarn and like dirty diapers.
And Brett
That's what
Favre
Goodwill has.
And sadness.
Well, yes.
That's Wisconsin in general.
Sure. Anyway,
That's what
so that's why I'm asking about this PSTV thing. If it has PS3 controllers with it, I'd rather save the $5 and get a PSTV for whatever reason, just to play video games or whatever. I know there was an East game that came out on the Vita.
That works with one of the newer firmwares. The it's a East 4 remake or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would like to check
the
that
firmware.
out.
It'll work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you can play it on the television.
What do you want for the thing?
Well, I'll tell you what, my people will talk to your people after the show.
All right, fine.
Game huggers for bartering. Do you remember the Muhammad Ali PlayStation Vita commercial?
What?
It would go something like, float like a butterfly, sting like a cheetah. No one buys me. I'm the PlayStation Vita. I clear out the room like somebody farted. Doesn't anybody want to play some Uncharted? I don't know.
And that's the downside of the Vita. Like, I love the weird, obscure JRPG nonsense. So this is like the system with me in mind. But for anyone else, they would just there's nothing.
I've got the Tales of game for it. I've got a whole bunch of like limited run games for it. I think I've got Retro City Rampage as a physical copy, and some of those stuff that Oddworld and some of the other weird things that have come out for it. But yeah, it's cool in that regard, and it's nice to have something that can still take physical media. Because a lot of people look at the PlayStation TV and thought it was a knockoff Ouya, and it was, only it'll also play some Vita cards.
And speaking of Ouya, before we end this tonight, I did want to kind of mention, too, that there is always the Ouya. I mean, basically, it's barely alive anymore, but they did have over 1,000 games that were released for it. Getting an Ouya is hard now. People aren't necessarily selling them like they were when it was first failing. You could find them on like Craigslist or on eBay for $40, $50, $30, $40, $50, and then being clearanced at Target. But now they're going for well over $100 again on eBay. So it's like
well, it's worth noting because they're such great emulation machines and they're pretty good media players. And I have the follow-up to the Ouya as well, the Razor Forge, and it is nowhere near as open or as hackable to sideload things. So it's just not anywhere near as useful as the Ouya is. And you know, I kind of do regret buying it, but I do use it for like Hulu and Netflix upstairs since it no longer work properly on the Ouya since it's such an old version of Android at this point. But the Ouya is an absolutely fantastic emulation box in addition to the games that are on it, and I think that's what's driving demand is the fact that you can just take a USB drive, stick a whole bunch of stuff in it, sideload a bunch of emulators, and you're in retro gaming heaven on an HDMI-capable monitor.
Yeah, I agree. I like my Ouya a lot. It still gets a lot of play. Emulation's awesome on it. I don't think the controllers are as bad.
Extensive controller support too. It'll support all sorts of third-party controllers if you hook up a USB hub and USB controllers, or it'll take a Wiimote or a PlayStation 3 controller.
Right. Anything that's Bluetooth, like the PS3 controller or the Wiimote, it'll take either one. So you can use classic controllers on the Wii for playing Nintendo and Super Nintendo games on the Ouya. But also there are some good Ouya games that were exclusive for a little while at least. Towerfall was a big one that was really great, and then Read Only Memories initially was only available on the Ouya for a while. But that game, being a point-and-click adventure game, only feels more natural being on a PC, so I prefer it that way. But it's very cool, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to have the PS TV and now the Ouya to kind of compare the two and see which one.
Yeah.
would
And
be,
actually, shoot, I forgot there was one feature of Steam I never mentioned, and that is in recent months they actually rolled out a refund feature. Just sorry, I got thinking about regrettable purchases.
feature?
So Steam in like the last year put out a feature that says if you buy a game and you have less than 2 hours of playtime in it and you've owned it for less than 14 days, you can return it.
That's crazy.
So I've actually done that with a couple of games. Like I purchased X Rebirth because I wanted to try a space game, realized the error of my ways, and said, hey, this isn't going to work. I'd like to get my money back. And they were actually able to refund my card. And even in some cases, they've said, hey, if you buy a game on Steam and tomorrow we list it for a sale price, just return it, get your money back, and
That's
we'll take
awesome.
care of you. So one of the other reasons I've been really liking Steam lately is I can try games that I don't know if I'm going to like, and if it stinks, I can get rid of it. Get my money
That's
back or
pretty
not
cool.
out anything. If I go to my local GameStop and pick up a brand new game, I crack that plastic. Congratulations, you're the proud owner of a piece of garbage.
Yep.
Wasn't that what it said
Yeah.
when you opened up the box to the Steam box?
I never bought the Steam box. The link just says, here, go play Skyrim in your living room.
That and for Mighty Number 9. Anyway, all right, guys. So, thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. Thank you for talking about Steam with me for a good hour here. Don't forget to check us out on TuneIn, on Podomatic, and on YouTube. Our YouTube channel now has 100 subscribers. That's awesome. Very cool to have people interested in whatever shenanigans this is, even if it is just a few people over the span of a year. Also, we have over 200 people that have liked our Facebook page, so that's kind of cool to see that. And also follow me on Twitter at _Joshua Turbo. Don't forget the underscore. Dan will come and belittle you about being a stupid idiot. Anyway, for Dan, for Ryan, and for Tony, and everyone else in the Game Huggers, thank you for watching, and stay classy.
Oh, bye-bye. Yeah.
Every time. I love Muppet Babies. I do. See you guys. Bye.